Shane here, daily-astrocat.com, and today I've got my late report on the Sagittarius season. Why is it a late report? Well, because we're already in Sagittarius season. Usually I try to get this out a day before, a day or two before. Didn't work out this time. Thank you, Mercury retrograde. All right. So as you can see, I got my beautiful candles going over there, got my intentions set for all of you, wishing you all the best and sending nothing but love and happiness your way. And let's get into this, okay? Okay, so we got our Sagittarius season, and we're talking about possibilities, potential, and some optimism, right? Yeah, it's looking pretty optimistic, to tell you the truth. So let's just go on here, and actually, I need this in full screen mode. Oh, boy, hold on. Oh, there it is. Okay, so anyway, there we are. So, Sagittarius season is here. So, now we can align our intentions with our words, actions, and hopes. We got a taste of what is in store for us during the Scorpio season, right? But it seems incomplete. Seems like something was missing there, right? It was a taste, but we want more, right? More. That's the hunger of Scorpio. It's always more. That's especially Black Moon Lilith in that latter part of Scorpio position, pretty much where Venus is currently, okay? So, now the sun in the sign of Jupiter once more. Okay. We were in Scorpio before, and we don't know what to do with that power. We're not native Scorpios, So I mean, for most of us, it's like, okay, there's this stuff here, and we can really go with it. And the other ones are like, bring it on, right? No. Okay, so look, desire still burns brightly and is a chief motivator for this season. Stay here and learn more about how to use the energies this month, both in service to your career and as a creative. Okay, and what will you find out here? Okay, I'm going to break down the underlying astrology behind the ebbs and flows of this astrological energy that we like to call the Sagittarius season. That's when the sun enters Sagittarius and until it enters Capricorn and leaves, right? This is the fourth in a monthly series that follows the flow and the astrology in accordance with the old ways. Okay, yes, by the sun entering the sign, by the moon, by the season, by that tropical sign, right? Modern Western astrology. Okay, the more in touch we are with the earth and nature, the more we realize that we are of the stars. Okay, so now you know what you did and what needs to be done, right? Pretty much last season, yeah. I'm hoping this reaches many of you who have missed some opportunities, okay? Because there's some missed opportunities out there. The flow is there to try to capture and go with, but not everybody catches it. Not everybody can get it at the same time. This month, we'll see Mercury direct, and it's going to be direct yesterday, okay? Because that's how far into this I am. Okay, it's direct on the 29th. Both Mercury and Venus are picking up the pace, right? So the slow developing trends that we noticed before, when Venus was far behind and still kind of trying to catch up, and Mercury was retrograde and now starting to station, and then it's going to be moving forward. These slow developing trends, they're going to start to pick up in speed and urgency, okay? Like what we desire, how we attract, and also how we communicate, and kind of what we're thinking, what we're sensing, what we're feeling, and the area around us, right? The neighborhood, that's a Mercury thing as well, right? Our immediate peers and stuff like that, yes. So our desires, they reach a fevered pitch at some point, okay? Probably right around that time that Venus enters that kite between Uranus and Jupiter, Neptune, and with Uranus at the peak, at the apex. Now, what this means, though, is it means like this is this week, okay? This is going to get really intense. So for those of you who are thinking that, like, this is the whole thing. No, this is actually starting on the 29th, and this is going to go all the way till the 7th, I believe. So, look, we got those desires, we got those cravings, we need to satisfy those, okay? We can act on them right away, but we need to find a way to satisfy them later as well. We're looking for a sustainable craving, a way to sustain this, right? The speed that our thoughts and passions will accelerate will be in stark contrast to our actions, all right? Mars is getting pretty reluctant as we go through this season, as we get towards the end of it. Mars is like, starts to come up against Saturn. And Saturn in Pisces is going to be forming some kind of resistance, all right? There's an obstacle going to be thrown on our way. It's a test, if you would. And beyond the test, there's the rewards. That's those desires, those yearnings, that what we want materially, eluding us because we got to do some work to get past Saturn, right? Saturn is in a heavy spiritual place right now in Pisces. So what we really need to do is we need to stay elevated. If we stay elevated, those obstacles are easy to get over, right? We have to understand that Mars is going to start being more deliberate and very much more strategic about what it is that we should be doing and how we should be doing it. And there's two tracks that we can go by here. One is our career track, 3D, right? And that's our normal day-to-day, how we make our living and how we gain our freedom to be able to do things, right? Because we get paid in money, and in return, we get freedom. Now, that freedom that we have also allows us more time, because the more freedom you gain, the more time you can set aside. So the time that we can set aside should be spent working on creative things, making them better, making them, whatever it is you do, elevating it to a new level, because that's going to be the theme moving forward in 2026, is that creativity that knows no boundaries, that's just going to be out there and just going for it. Change the art, change the field that you're in, right? Okay, so now that that's happening, this is going to end the Scorpio season in a very measured, goal-driven, and practical way, okay? That's right, because as we start looking at these things and Saturn starts getting involved with Mars, we're going to start looking at goals, and we're going to start looking at how we're going to achieve things and how we're going to be doing things. Now, make sure you apply this to all the endeavors. Like I said, both the 3D and the 5D, the creative, side hustle-y stuff, anything that you're working on, make sure you're applying it, okay? We're going to start off this whole thing with Mercury retrograde, and it just about changes. And now when it changes, it still takes it a while for it to pick up speed. The lunations for the period are a Scorpio to Gemini full moon on the 4th, and the new moon in Sagittarius on the 19th of December. All right, so we're going to have a full moon that's going to go to Gemini. That's going to be quite interesting as well. Now, with Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, Mercury backtracks until the 27th and then begins to progress forward. Venus has picked up speed considerably, and she is heading towards a superior conjunction with the Sun later on. Neptune is direct on the 10th of December. Big picture stuff, right? As the season progresses, Mars nears the cosmic attractor and the galactic center, okay? This pulls our attention away from our efforts and tends to make us more universally minded. How can we do this on a grander scale, right? Now, does this pull us into out of this dimension into others? Well, I guess we're going to have to wait and see for that one, right? Now, here's our first. I used AI for this, okay? It's kind of funny. You can tell because check out Mercury in Scorpio, right? It's actually got, instead of having the planetary symbol for Mercury, it's got the Scorpio symbol in the middle, okay? AI foibles, right? But it is pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. It does look pretty neat. Although I see Taurus twice, so that's kind of interesting. Okay, so anyway, fun stuff, right? So look, we've got ourselves... So this is for the 21st, and the 21st is when the Sun would actually enter into Sagittarius. Now, this is our chart. This is the chart for the past, okay? We're going to kind of rocket through these things so that we don't really have to pay too much attention to them. But I just want to tell you that there's a tight stellium here, and that's a grouping of planets, right? We see the Sun, Mercury, and Black Moon Lilith, all down in this area here, right? Now, the seasons bestow upon us a little bit of the trait that the Sun is upon us about to see is fit, okay? So basically, the Sun's going to say, okay, I'm a Sagittarius, so now what are we going to do? Okay, well, let's take a look at what it is. Energy is going to flow more easily into areas that Sagittarius is said to represent, okay? Optimistic, enthusiastic, candid, speculative. adventure-seeking, truth-seeking, philosophical, judgmental, and tactless. Ouch. Somebody doesn't like Sagittarians. Okay, so that came right from the NCGR book. Okay, so, yeah, it's a course study guide for astrology, right? So Sagittarius is also a sign of education, knowledge, and the laws, okay? The rules and mores of society are governed by Jupiter. Sagittarius, and think about it, Saturn is more of the institutions, right? The brick and mortar stuff. The rules that guide them are Jupiterian by nature. Okay, Sagittarians delight in learning these rules only to bend them. All right, Aquarians break them. All right, that's kind of like a differentiating factor there too. It's sort of like Aquarius, but without that driving purpose. It's done with an attitude of nonchalance and indifference. All right, so now here's our next chart. The next chart's going to show the kites that we have. And this one here covers a few days. And, so it's the early part of what we've just been through. And what I want to talk about here is I want to talk about, there's the two kites that are headed up by Pluto at one end. All right, so we got Pluto over here, and then we have Uranus over here. So we've got two kites, two purple formations there, and you can see the trine beneath. That's actually the basis of both of the kites in, that body of them. And that trine is that water trine of energy between Mercury, Neptune, and Jupiter. So we've got this whole big water trine going on. Now, look, the sun sextile Pluto in Aquarius. I told you in the daily, this is a great chance for us to embrace our weirdness, okay? It's a self-confidence boost. It really is. As we start seeing ourselves moving into the holiday and everything like that, we were able to get through this and to go. Now, the Pluto kite that we're talking about is really about how we change up our homes, and we did that. We transformed it massively for the Thanksgiving holiday. So, what else is going on here? Well, is there anything else that I need to tell you about? Okay, so all old news, all old news, all old news. Let's go. Look, let's try this. Now, here we are. We're going to see where Venus and Mercury are really picking up speed. Because if you noticed before, you're going to get that little bit of boost in communications, and it's going to get even better, okay? It's going to get better. So it's just in time for the holidays, okay? Okay, so we're going to be able to have nice conversations. We're going to be able to do things with people, right? Now, look, check this out. We're going to move into the next slide, and when we move into the next slide, now we're going to start to get towards where we're at. This was Thanksgiving Day. So this gave you some idea of what the combinations were on Thanksgiving Day. Now, we can see, once again, there's some massive effery over here because some of those things aren't real, okay? Makes beautiful things, but it's AI. All right, so let's talk about this. All right, so let's get out of this because we had Saturn go direct on the 27th, and that was pretty interesting. So let's see. Pluto in Aquarius means that stuff is here to stay, okay? So that AI stuff that I showed you, that's what you're seeing. That's what you're seeing on your social media feed, right? Count the cat's tails. Count the fingers on the hands. Look at the words that are rendered in the pictures, and you'll see telltale signs of AI. Now, that's not going to be there forever because it's going to get better and better and better. And soon, you won't be able to tell the difference because that's just the way it's going to be designed. All right? Now, what else do we have here? Well, I've got, we've got Saturn direct. So we've got our stuff here. Pluto in Aquarius means this stuff is here to stay. Correct. Now, Saturn direct, now that's a different story. This is going to be a backlash towards unkind and sympathetic expressions of spiritual values in the coming months. All right? So Saturn in Pisces is done with revisions, and now the Reformation will begin. Mark my words. When Saturn is sextile Pluto over the next several years, that's when the Reformation begins. Saturn will enter Aries hand in hand with Neptune. All right. Personally, this is bonkers for us. Get creative now and plan to exploit this in the coming months. And the question is, what are you waiting for? Okay. saw Beth do her whole zodiac series of the wire gems, the wire wraps, right? These things right here. Yes. So she did the zodiac series on that. It was pretty cool, pretty neat. All right. And she combines the art of wire wrapping with her crystal knowledge, which is even better. So, and it's good to know crystal. It's good to know everything, right? But we like to know little bits and pieces of everything so we can take and make it ours. That's how we manifest intentions, right? That's how we don't have to have words. We can just carry a stone with us, and that will help us manifest an intention as well. So, look, what are you waiting for? Okay, they're not waiting for AI to be perfect, are they? No, they're not. And you shouldn't be making your crap perfect either, okay? And I mean crap in the nicest possible way. I'm thinking AI, and I'm like, AI crap. But, everybody, this right here, buy crap, right? This right here. Now, it's not going to be perfect, and it can't be perfect because I'm human, okay? They're not waiting for AI to be perfect because it's going to correct itself. Practice makes perfect. Serious conversations. Look, we're going to start having them, all right? Let's go. All right, so now, Mercury is direct on Saturday, okay? And Venus gives the day a big boost. That's where we're at. Now, I did have one intuitive thought on this, and I wanted to know where Pallas was, Pallas Athena, because, and she happens to be an Aquarius sextile the sun. Now, do you think about it, where the sun's at right now as we're heading into this weekend, we're heading out, okay? We have a new potent ally called wisdom and knowledge, and the vision of an owl completes this, okay, because the symbol of Athena, one of the symbols of Athena is an owl, all right? So Pallas Athena, take a look at that. All right, so now we're going to start really, and this is on the 29th, now we're going to start getting into it, okay? So for today, on the 30th, which is when I'm recording this, all right, Venus is trine Neptune at 324. Now, there's a blinding feel to the hunger today. All right, all the shortcomings of the previous week want to be addressed right now. I have been procrastinating, okay? It's not the hunger of like what I want, but it's the hunger of what I've put off and that I've actually gotten through. And this episode happens to be one of those things. Okay, I finally sat down and did this last night, and now I'm like, okay, I'm going to record this now. So what we can see that Venus will be trine Neptune early in the morning at 3:14. 12 hours later, she enters the sign of Sagittarius. Now, this is something different, okay? Now, I did do what I said, and I did follow my intention, okay? If you go to the YouTube for today, you'll see the Petal of Venus episode right in the description, right below. You can watch that, and you can see what I think about Venus's speed and how she's picking up and where we're headed with Venus, okay? It's a very interesting thing, and it's beautiful geometry, and there's a lot of stuff in there. If you don't know about it, go look it up, because I don't want to go through everything right now as far as what Venus does and how it works and, how it's related to the golden ratio and stuff like that. But you can get everything that I have on it in that particular episode. So, look, give your side hustle a little shot in the arm today, okay? Let's just get some stuff going, okay? We really want to make sure that we are doing what we need to do. Okay, now, if you go to my website at https://daily-astrocat.com, I'm going to throw something out there, okay? Beginning next month, tomorrow, I am going to randomly pick a name for a personalized chart reading that may very well be your first introduction to whole sign houses. So if you want to get a chart read by me, go to my website. You can find it in a lot of my bio and stuff like that. Sign up for the email list, and that means I actually have to start using the darn thing. And what you'll get is you won't get a lot of spam because I don't put anything out on it. I may very well end up doing a little preview or just a little note or say maybe an introduction to these things here or something, an invitation. All right, if we would. But if you're on my email list, you will get some. There are, like I said, you can have that random picking of your name. We'll draw a chart. Okay, so. With that caveat said, Yeah, we'll probably be sending out a little thing asking you for your birth date information and stuff like that. So if you get chosen, we can give you a chart reading and might be your first introduction to whole sign houses. Okay, so on the 2nd, Venus is sextile Pluto. Now, I gave you a lot to consider with the last one as far as, signing up for the email, Petals of Venus, finding out about what Venus in Sagittarius is going to mean for us, right? And I actually get more into it on the actual day of, so I'm not going to try to really steal my own thunder here, but I do want you to realize that the needs of Venus become more expansive. She wants more. She wants to explore. She wants to go out there. She wants Sagittarian things now, right? That's what she wants. She wants that knowledge. There's knowledge that's out there. There's laws out there that need to be explored. Okay, so now we're finding creative ways to address our audiences. Okay, and that attempt to boost my email list and stuff like that is one of them. And that's not just me. This includes you. So you really need to be thinking about ways that you can have to be able to boost whatever it is that you do, whether it's through work or through a side hustle stuff, or maybe it's your main focus, right? Maybe your side gig is your main gig now, right? But that's how you do it. This is an opportunity to tap into the social zeitgeist, right? Expansion and wanting to know, and Mercury's finally able to come forward and say, hey, this is where we're at, right? Now, forget AI propaganda. Tap into the folks who are real, all right? Venus is an attractor until she is pushed. Then she will dazzle. Okay, so just think about it. You got an advantage out there. So, and the first lunation is going to be that full moon on the 5th. It occurs on the 4th. 4th or the 5th, depends on where you're at in the country. All right, so right now I have, we're looking at the moon and Saturn sitting off to the side of each other. It's not quite a lunation. Yes, it's not quite the full moon yet, because you see there's still 6 degrees of separation there between them. So it actually occurs later on in the night. Now, there is mutable air and there's mutable fire. So this is kind of like a conflagration. It's a fire, right? It's oxygen feeding the fire. And the fire is in Sagittarius, so it knows no boundaries. It's just going to go crazy, right? It's a great day to make something go viral if you really wanted to. It's a great day you got to pick the right words. You got to have something really witty behind it. A viral video is a very tactical win, as opposed to, it's not a long-term solution to anything by any stretch of the imagination. It can certainly add to it and enhance it because it gets a lot of attention, right? Now, be chatty and witty, win friends, and know that your efforts could lead up to your best showing yet on various platforms. Okay, use everything you've learned to craft this particular video, or particular piece, or whatever it is you're doing, right? A lot of you are on TikTok and stuff like that. So think about it. You can do this, all right? Okay, so moving right along, we move into the 5th. Now, the 5th is where we actually have we move beyond, okay? You can actually see that this is at, that is 10 o'clock at night, 10:54. So 10:54 at night, we move beyond this. Now, this is going to be a very busy slide, and this is a busy slide for a couple of reasons, because it's good for a couple of days. There's a lot going on here, as you can see. We've got Mars down here in the corner, going to be trine with Chiron up here. That's a great chance to get your health stuff on track, right? You either have two options here. You can either consider action on a chronic or ongoing health problem, or you can be proactive and get back on track with your health boosting routines, okay? I mean, cutting back on certain foods, cutting back on portions, getting some more exercise, stuff like that. You know what I mean? If you've been off track a little bit, Thanksgiving tends to throw everybody off of that. But, hey, if we're moving in that direction. Now, today is the first good opportunity for setting idealistic yet realistic goals. Okay, setting. Okay, this favors financial goals and houses, okay, our homes, right? Financial goals, our homes, security. The moon in Cancer is has a thing for personal and professional growth, okay? Cancer is a cardinal sign. Remember, it's an initiator. It's an initiator from our emotional standpoint. What's important to us? Important is safety and security, right? Right. That's what's important, nurturing. All right. The Cancer moon works well with us non-natives as well, thanks to the presence of Jupiter in Cancer. That's right. Jupiter is just making this stuff larger than life and beaming it out there for everybody. So think about this. This makes everything you're working towards bigger. By the 6th, Mercury and Jupiter are trine. Okay. So both of you who communicate so all of us, both of you, right, both. Those of you who communicate for fun and profit are blessed by this aspect, okay? It puts Mercury close to Venus and in the various kites, all right? So now this is going to start to get crazy because now we have both Mercury and Venus in these two kite positions right here and the Pluto one over here, right? Just bouncing all this energy around. A lot of energy. Desire. The desire to communicate. The desire to communicate for what? Strengthening our homes, for making more money, for personal freedom, for financial freedom, for the sake of using technology, for creativity, right? Deep creative stuff. The stuff that we've got to go through to come back with, right? It's an inner journey of sorts for us to go through our own personal whatever it is that we desire to put out there and then be putting it out there, right? Okay, so by the 7th, the moon is conjunct with Jupiter, and this is expansive AF, okay? Good fortune surrounds us in our efforts as we start to step out and we move into the latter parts of this particular season. We're going to do so from a position of strength. We already know where we've been, where we have to go, and we know where we're going. And we know where we're going is going to be with an elevated attitude, right? So, trines, they're hugely beneficial. Remember that. See all this blue in here with this purple triangle right here? These are really, really beneficial, but they're only beneficial if you use them, okay? If you take the various elements of them and you start tweaking them, like communicating, like creating, like trying to attract something or trying to put something together, or maybe even being in love, okay? We got Venus involved there, right? We have Jupiter here, expanding the home, doing some home projects, making sure that we're adding to the security of what it is that we do. Doing the best possible things that we can. That's right. We have Uranus up here in Taurus, just sitting there saying, okay, show me the money. I can show you money. But you have to ask for it, okay? You have to make sure that you're asking. Whatever it is, you have to ask, all right? Ask your higher guardians if that's what you need to do, all right? And maybe they will tell you what it is that you need to ask everybody else. Now, Venus, updating our wants and needs. Mercury, refined communication process. Look, this isn't about caving into any pressures. This is about achieving more personal freedom, okay? Okay, it's for comfort, for romance. This is about, like, having just more discretion over our available funds. The expansive moon is the boost we need for a deeper level of confidence and competence. Mars is square Saturn, so keep your actions fluid, adaptable, and don't run from conflict. Use your wiles and guile to make sure that your message, and hence your efforts, are easy and productive. Okay. However, effective and productive, because it's not easy, okay? But easy happens to be down there, and I just happen to say easy instead of effective. But this is a test, okay? All right, so here we go. Now, here on the 8th, we have Mars at 25 degrees Sagittarius square with Saturn in Pisces. All right, this is the point where we're at. The theoretical was easy over the last few days, right? It was easy for us to be like, oh, we can do this, we can do that, we can go here, we can go there. Go to my dailies and you'll be able to figure out where I'm at with this. The theoretical, that was easy. This test is, the test here is, can you persevere and stand strong in your belief in yourself, okay? And in yourself and in your what you believe in, all right? We need to be coming at this from our higher elevated timeline. Don't stoop to anyone else's level, all right? This unwavering attitude is unsettling to hear right now, but we're going to need it more than ever when Mars enters Capricorn. This is going to be positively electric when this happens. Okay, so right now we've got this chart right here. We can see Mars is actually square with Saturn. That's a red line down there. The purple line is just there to highlight what that aspect is. We can still see trines all over the place. That's these little beneficial things. And not only that, but we can see the sextiles right here going bing, 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 bing. From Pluto, from Mercury to Pluto, to Neptune, to Uranus, to Neptune, right? Jupiter. This is what's called a cradle. See the yellow line right there? That's a cradle position. And that holds those things all together. The way I like to look at cradles is like it's like, you know, the baby sits inside but with the sides up. Well, the bottom protects it from anything that's over here. Yet what's influencing it is directly over it. And what's directly over it is that moon. All right? So that moon in Leo is just like, boom, I'm here. All right. So we've got ourselves in a nice little position, a little shell of protection, if you would. And this is a good thing for all of us. So let's talk about this. All right. Here we go. Now we have Neptune direct. This is a Neptune direct slide. Okay, so this is the 10th, and this is Neptune direct. Neptune direct is over here. Now, Neptune direct is a totally different animal. The truth, which has been shifting and shimmering, you know, just off in the distance somewhere, is now going to be completely enveloped now that Neptune is direct. The mists come in, right? The mists of the unseen. Only intuition will thrive from now on, but it will have to come from a higher timeline. Okay? If you have seen monsters, then there will be monsters, because that's what Neptune brings you, right? Brings you what you want to see. There's no walls to contain us once Neptune is direct. Okay? There's no more anything. There's no boundary to it. It's just vast, like the ocean, right? Only just the power to believe in ourselves and to touch our inner creative fire. That's what we have. The source of divinity that exists in everyone. Neptune direct will embolden you to be able to be in touch with that. But you have to not be afraid of what's in there. All right? So that brings us to the 11th, and now the 11th we have Mercury entering Sagittarius. Mercury enters Sagittarius, and that should be like, ba-ba, Mercury enters Sagittarius. Before, there was a brooding wait-and-see thing happening when Mercury was retrograde. Now, we're just about ready to move ahead. We know the basic Jupiter stuff, the rules, you know, whatnot, all that stuff, right? Now we need to set our sights on what is beyond the horizon or out of our line of sight, the archer's aim, right? Mercury is good at this and begins to pick up the pace. This is going to vex Mars because Mercury is going to be pushing closer to Mars, right? Now, why does this vex Mars? Because Mars is getting ready to slow things down. Okay, Mars is normally interested in new things, but Mars wants to concentrate your power and energy to overcoming Saturn's trials that are being tossed in your way. Now, do we go through them or do we go over them? What if we use that aim with Mercury and neutralize them at the source beyond that front line? That's an interesting concept, right? Now, here we have Mercury entering into the actual opposition with Uranus. So Mercury opposing Uranus and entering into a actual Is it the trine? No, it's not the trine. It is trine with Saturn, okay? We've got some stuff going on here. We've got a lot of stuff going on here. Mercury trine with Neptune as well. So this is creative. This is very, very creative. We can see that our kites have started to fall apart somewhat. We're not seeing these strong trines between any, like Pluto and the moon, where that was before, or even we still have it right here, but we have nothing that's lining up with Jupiter right now because everybody's out of the last part of Scorpio. So this kite here is no longer with us. This kite right here, Jupiter has progressed back, so it's no longer sextile between Uranus and Jupiter, and we don't have any point down here anchoring it in Scorpio. We've moved beyond Scorpio. We've gone to where we're at right now. We have half kites, and half kites are not as effective as the full kite, only because that tension point, the tension point that was there is now exacerbated, and there's nothing to balance it out on the one side. So we have a tendency we could veer to one side if we're not careful, to make sure that we're not just maintaining some kind of balance there. There's not much of a balance with a half kite. What we really have is we have that tension, and then we have it's mitigated by the sextile here and by the trine. The trine can be easily ignored. The sextile is the part that's probably the strongest because that's going to resolve the tension between, say, like what it is we want, or what it is we're doing in Taurus, with our Taurus things, with our money, with our creativity, with our comfort, and what we're doing with Mercury things, our logic and our ability to see. And there's a danger here of trying to go too fast, too far. All right, with Neptune direct in Pisces, there's no such thing as too fast, too far. However, there is such a thing as being able to see what it is that we want to be doing, and what it is that what our goals are and our dreams are. And there's a realistic kind of effect here between the two of them because they can work together, right? We can use that imagination to set that goal further. And that's going to please Mercury, and that will also please Uranus because they're both thinking of that expansion. All right, so with that being said, let's move right along. Now, as the moon enters Libra, we have another point of reward, and I can't believe it's just accepted part of my 3D reality now. Okay, it is. It's just that accepted. It's just where we're at, right? It's sextile the sun. We've reached this point. The sun is at a point right now where it's just like, hey, boom, this is where we're at. This is what we're getting. All right, now, what I need to do is I need to expand what that is, and that I'm receiving, and establish it in other ways, right? So in other words, not just all eggs in one basket, like basically make streams. And guess what? This is not the day to do this. This is the day to start to scratch some itches, provide comfort, and quite honestly, just finish up any holiday shopping you have. Generosity is a beautiful expression. So I just contradicted myself totally because we're seeing the reward and we're going to go out and spend the reward. Okay, that's what we're doing. We're just going out and just taking care of it and letting it take care of others and being a beautiful expression. But we have to know that we need to be able to sustain it. In order to sustain it, we're better off relying on a couple different forms of it, right? So that's a very interesting observation. Now, I tried to get you ready for this, okay? During the next couple of months, we're going to need to soundly connect the dots across all of our endeavors, okay? We have Mars entering Capricorn, okay? Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Mars loves it in Capricorn. Mars energy in Capricorn is very, very concentrated and good. If you think about where you were at 2 years ago, you'll notice that there was a drive, there was something that you were doing that really made you want to start getting out there and getting things happening, right? Because this basically is a 2-year cycle. for Mars to run through all these signs, and it's not that it's not that linear. It's not like the Venus things that only separate by a couple of days. You'd really have to look up where Mars was last in Capricorn, and then figure out what you were doing then, and then see how it applies to what you're doing now. This is one way that astrology is also useful, because we can use it to judge what happened historically before and what's going on now. Now, obviously, we're going to have different aspects because the outer planets will have shifted for 2 years. So, 2 years is quite, it's enough for those planets to have some kind of motion. We may even have, Pluto back in Capricorn, right? So we had Mars meet up with Pluto in Capricorn. That could have been like a flag moment for us to be like, hey, we got to change something up here. Could very well be, right? All of that stuff applies. Okay, so what else is going on here? Well, look, artists, you're going to begin producing some of your best work. It's awaiting discovery right now. Our 3D endeavors begin to have to be resolved in a manner that's almost regular and automatic, right? Not taking up too much of your time. And this brings in better rewards and allows us more time to spend on other talents that we have that could possibly develop other streams of income. Now, the new moon in Sagittarius is approaching. Aim high and look to deliver every single time. All right. Now, the sun squares Saturn just before he is going to be leaving the sign, right? We're going to have that, and we're going to have the lunation, right? This gives us purpose in meeting. Sagittarius is always searching. It's education, philosophy, exploration, constant Sagittarian themes. Now these themes hit the same wall that Mars encountered. The sun's at the same place, right? Square Pluto, square Saturn. That's where Saturn came from. Only now it is not just our actions, it's our entire sense of who we are that needs to get beyond this point and be like, oh my goodness, what is this we're pushing up against? Well, it's called the end of the year. It's called the slow period, okay? So that's what you're up against. So as we get towards the end of the holiday, things start to slow down, and we just become more circumspect. And that's when we're going to go back to the drawing board, back to the laboratory, so to speak, right? To create our monster or whatever it is that we're creating. It could be a monster. It could be a beautiful thing. It could be whatever it is that you're inclined to do. The message here is just that the sun is not far behind Mars. And the message is not to lose sight of our target, which is out of our line of sight. We can't see it, but we know it's there. The Capricorn season will try to get us to shift our sight. Mercury and Venus will help us remember what the ultimate goal is. That's right. It's not the thing in front of you. It's what's over it that's causing it. All right. And then last month, I said the key to moving forward was desire, hunger, and the fire that enhance your performance. Now we're on the threshold of the Capricorn season. But first, we get to experience, the new moon in Sagittarius. Now, the new moon in Sagittarius is going to occur at 2043 on the 19th. So, what do we got? 2043, that's 10:43 in the evening here on the East Coast. Well, we've got ourselves our trines here. Our trines are looking good, but we don't have any little sextiles at the top of them for toppers, okay? So it is a mutable fire trine, and it's a fire trine only because the ascendant is down here. Other than that, the only trines we have are actually the sun with Chiron and the moon with Chiron, and we have the north node with Jupiter and Neptune with black moon Lilith. Now, that says some good things, right? We also have black moon Lilith in a trine with Saturn as well. So, what is it that we desire? We desire to create. What is it that we wish to create? Art. Beautiful art, right? Yes, beautiful art. Understanding, empathy. We want to promote these things. We're nearing the Christmas season. We want to be able to feel part of that season as well. The holiday season, right? That's what we want. Look, we're on the threshold of the Capricorn season, but first we get to experience that new moon. Set far off goals and intentions and make them absolute goals, okay? That new moon, set it. right? We're going over that target. We're going over that obstacle. We're going to leapfrog over it and end up in Aries, okay? That's where that trine point is, in Aries, where they're going to be. Let's do this, right? It may be at the end of the season, and it's conjunct with, it's trine with Chiron, but we're going to be looking forward to entering that Aries season. Now, let others think that after Yule comes the quiet time. That's for other people. There is no quiet time, just a time to really reach out and expand on what it is we're building. More knowledge is always good. Seek opportunity and a chance to broaden your impact and reach in whatever circles you want to be involved with. This season is all about moving beyond what we perceived we needed, and it is aspirational in a way that will now be requiring and receiving more. Not right away, mind you, because Saturn is there. Keep your intentions and personal vibration elevated. And that will make the Saturnian hurdles easier for Mars to overcome. Keep your goals simple, but make sure you accomplish what you set out to do in the coming season. For this season, spread joy and know that we are rapidly closing out this calendar year. Find creative ways to extend the time so that you can savor life. After all, that is just about the entire point of the Sagittarius season. All right? So, that being said, thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate and love every single one of you. Take the time to like this videos maybe, and smash the subscribe button. Show me some love. Appreciate and love every single one of you. Hit that back catalog on the day. All right? Thank you so much. Happy astrocatting.